Today on an all-new Dr. Phil.
I remember sitting between his legs.
One of Bill Cosby's youngest accusers.
Is coming forward for the first time.
He gave me a drink, and I don't remember anything after that.
As Cosby's family speaks out.
Camille Cosby, shame on you.
7 accusers together for the first time.
I was naked and bruised.
And their shocking allegations.
She took away my innocence.
Let's do it.
Have a good show, everybody. Here we go.
This is a safe place to talk about hard things.
Stand by, Dr. Phil.
I try to be an emotional compass and point you in the right direction.
5, 4.
I am not giving up on you.
Go, Dr. Phil.
The sexual assault allegations are continuing to mount against Bill Cosby, threatening to destroy the comedian's career and his legacy. Now, Bill Cosby has broken his silence, followed by his wife, Camille, just this week. It's hard to avoid the headlines with more than 20 women coming forward, some with detailed allegations of being drugged, rendered defenseless, and then raped by Cosby. The man known for those Jell-O pudding commercials and fatherly roles seems to have fallen from favor. I have even received emails from women across the country with their own stories about their encounters with Bill Cosby. Some of these women are here today. One says she was initially scared to show her face, as she is a school teacher and had put the past behind her. She is one of his youngest accusers and has decided to tell her story along with 6 other women that you're going to hear from today. We'll talk to them in a bit. But first, the latest in this scandal.
Mr. Cosby!
Fallout tonight for comedian Bill Cosby due to decades-old accusations of rape. New women are now coming forward to accuse comedian Bill Cosby of sexual abuse.
I could not open my eyes. His behavior was like that of a predator. I woke up in the back of my car alone.
Do you believe Bill Cosby is a serial rapist?
He's a serial rapist, absolutely.
Yesterday, Chief Beck said the LAPD would investigate all claims of sexual assault against comedian Bill Cosby.
In a sit-down interview with an Associated Press reporter just 2 weeks ago, Cosby, with his wife by his side, declined to answer questions about the rape allegations and asked that his comments not be shown.
Thank you.
Now, can I get something from you?
What's that?
That none of that will be shown.
Since then, at least 15 women have now come forward. The former supermodel Janice Dickinson, who says he raped her in 1982. Cosby went from a sought-after spokesperson to essentially radioactive.
Another woman is coming forward saying that Bill Cosby also drugged her. It is legendary supermodel Beverly Johnson.
Beverly, why did you come forward now?
I looked at these courageous women on television. I said, I have to say something.
You went to Cosby's home in the mid-'80s to talk about a possible role on the Cosby Show.
He insisted that I drink this cappuccino. The room started to spin a little. So
Right away.
Right away. At that moment, I knew I had been drugged.
TV Land has dropped Cosby's show reruns. Netflix postponed his comedy special, and NBC scrapped a show that was in the works.
Cosby has repeatedly denied the charges being leveled against him.
If you could say anything to Bill Cosby, what would you say?
Get some help. Don't go to your grave with this. He's a very sick man.
Well, special correspondent for DailyMail.com, Licia Naff, is here to talk about how the media has handled this story and Camille Cosby speaking out. So thank you for being here. You actually broke this story. You had the first interview with Barbara Bowman, right? She was a Jane Doe that decided to break her silence, give her name, and come out and tell you her story.
Yes. It started with Hannibal Buress suggesting his audience Google Bill Cosby and rape, and the investigative team at DailyMail.com Googled Bill Cosby in a rape, and her name kept popping up over and over again. My editor suggested I try to find Barbara. I spoke to her and I said, let's write this story with every gory detail this time so it can't be ignored. The time is now. And we wrote the story together, and it was very graphic, and it picked up momentum. Millions of people read it, and even when it fell off of the front page on Daily Mail, people kept reading it. So it was a perfect storm, and these days, these women are our mothers, our grandmothers, our sisters. These women have nothing to lose. They're not out for money. Statute of limitations is over. They're not out for fame. Who wants to be famous for being raped? They're coming out because they couldn't then, they were scared then. Barbara decided, let's break the silence this time, and it worked. And it's picked up momentum. 24 women on the record right now.
Well, Cosby has come out and talked about the media and how this is being handled. And he was talking about on the media being neutral. And he said, quote, "Let me say this. I only expect the black media to uphold the standards of excellence in journalism. And when you do that, you have to go in with a neutral mind."
Oh, I see. Okay. He's got a point. I'm extremely ethnic. Do I count?
I don't know. Do you? According to him, it's bias throughout the media, and this is a feeding frenzy, and he's the victim here, not them.
Oh, poor thing. Okay.
Well,
then maybe he can sit down and talk with us and be on the record with us, just like the other Jane Does have decided to risk and talk and tell their truth.
Well, Camille has spoken out as well to the CBS Evening News, and she said, quote, "I met my husband Bill Cosby in 1963, and we were married in 1964. The man I met and fell in love with, and whom I continue to love, is the man you all know through his work. He is a kind man, a generous man, a funny man, and a wonderful husband, father, and friend. He is the man you thought you knew. A different man has been portrayed in the media over the last 2 months. It is the portrait of a man I do not know. There appears to be no vetting of my husband's accusers before stories are published or aired. An accusation is published and immediately goes viral. We all followed the story of the article in the Rolling Stone concerning allegations of rape at the University of Virginia. Many in the media were quick to link that story to stories about my husband until that story unwound. None of us will ever want to be in the position of attacking a victim, but the question should be asked, who is the victim?" Well, that was one accuser. Here we have 26.
And they're from all over the country, all ages, all ranges. It started in the 60s, 1967 with Carla Ferrigno. Maybe there's earlier ones than that. All the way through the mid-2000s. These women didn't correspond, find a hotel room in the Midwest somewhere and like, oh, let's go get Bill Cosby. They all told their stories independently, and there's too many common denominators. He's using his power, his celebrity, his money to all of these women who've never met and have never talked to each other. Is that some just bizarre phenomenon?
We have to say it's alleged because there has not been a single sexual charge filed. There has not been a finding by a court, so they are allegations. Now, I have received many letters from people all over the country about Bill Cosby, but one really stood out. Lisa and her mother wrote into the show when the Cosby story broke. Lisa says she was a 21-year-old aspiring model when she met the megastar comedian who offered to help her with her career. She is breaking her silence for the first time right now. So this is a story you have not read about.
The year was 1988. The owner of the modeling agency I worked for called me and said that Bill Cosby would like to meet with me. I was very excited to go and see him. I was starstruck. I felt invincible. I couldn't believe that he wanted to see me. I got to the hotel. He was a gentleman, and he was respectful and kind, and he seemed very interested in me, and that made me feel very secure in seeing him again. He was the Jell-O pudding man. He was everyone's dad. The next time that we met, I had asked if my mother and sister could join us, and he said yes. So we all went up to the Elvis Suite. We had a great time. We took pictures. My mother trusted Bill completely.
But Lisa claims he ended up betraying that trust during a mentoring session in his hotel suite.
Bill Cosby called me out of the blue, and he said, "Can you come by and see me?" And I was like, "Of course." And I went up to his hotel, and I was alone. And he talked about, "Let me see what type of acting skills you have. I want you to improv." And as I tried to do improv, he fixed a drink, and then he brought it to me. It was a brown liquid, and it looked like a shot. I told him I didn't drink. He said that this was going to relax me so that the lines would flow out a lot easier. So I did drink it. He made a second drink and had me drink the second drink as well. I noticed myself getting a little dizzy. Bill had sat down on the edge of the couch. He said, "Come over here and have a seat." He had his legs open, and when I sat down, I was sitting down in between his legs with my back to his crotch. He started to stroke my hair back in a petting motion like this. The last things I remember is just feeling the strokes on my head. After that, I don't remember anything else. I don't remember the next morning. I don't remember how I got home. I still don't remember that following day. It was 2 days later when I actually said to my mom, "This was odd. I don't understand what happened." Now that I've heard the stories from other women, I understand what he did. He drugged me. The image that I fight with is creating my own scenarios of what he did. I don't want to see those. I don't want to guess what he did to me. I just don't want it to be that he did anything. I trusted him. I trusted him like I trusted my own father.
Well, Lisa has not spoken publicly about her allegations and is coming forward for the first time right now, this minute, today. How do you feel about coming out and talking about this right now, right here?
I was not interested in talking about it out loud. One of my close friends, who's a detective in Raleigh, Catherine, she told me to file a report. I wanted the police to be able to just confront him and let him know that I know he did something wrong.
You know, if you were on the witness stand, and this is part of your point about not filing the report, not filing charges, you don't really know what happened. Do you know if he raped you? Do you know if he molested you in some way? Do you know? You don't really know what did happen.
No.
But you think something did. Lisa says her mother wanted to nail Bill Cosby to the cross when she heard what allegedly happened in his hotel room. We'll be right back.
I don't think Bill Cosby had any intention of helping Lisa. He had sexual intentions, without a doubt. I believe my daughter was drugged and raped by Mr. Bill Cosby.
And later,
I woke up to him saying, "Daddy says wake up. Daddy says wake up." And it was like $1,500 on the table. And I feel like he's manipulated everybody's society, and he's manipulating his wife this very day.
It's 25 years later, but I'm doing the best I can to fight now. I want him to know that I'm fighting. I want him to know I'm pissed off at what he did. I want him to face what he did to all the women that he did it to. And I'm saying something because everybody needs to know that he hurt every single one of us and that he needs to be responsible.
well, Lisa's mother, Christina, says Bill Cosby is a monster who deserves to be locked up for allegedly drugging her daughter when she was 21 years old, and an aspiring model who Bill Cosby offered to mentor and help with her career.
I believe my daughter was drugged and raped by Mr. Bill Cosby. I don't think Bill Cosby had any intention of helping Lisa. He had sexual intentions, without a doubt. He's a master manipulator. I didn't ask her how her meeting went right away, but then Lisa said, Mom, all of a sudden I was sitting between his legs and he was stroking and playing with my hair. So I said, then what happened? And she said, I don't know. I believe he's a psychopath that only cares about his own needs. He should go to prison and he should never be let free because he will never stop. If Bill Cosby was here right now, I would tell him, I hate you, you dirty son of a bitch, because you took my girl away from me.
Well, Christina, thank you for being here. You're obviously very passionate about this. You believe that he violated your daughter.
Absolutely.
And why do you believe that?
Because there's absolutely no reason whatsoever to drug her, to put her unconscious. For what?
How did you get home that day?
I don't know.
How did you get there?
I drove myself.
Where was your car?
At home. When I was home, my car was home.
So you may have driven yourself home?
I may have.
Someone may have driven you home?
It's possible.
But you don't know?
I don't know.
You have no recollection after him stroking your hair? Nothing? You don't know how you got in your car? You don't know how you got home?
I remember parts of the suite. I remember something that I think of as like this little cubby area that you might sit down and remove your shoes, and I felt like there was a floodlight above it that was lit. I remember talking to myself and saying, oh, that's interesting. This suite has a lot of rooms. It's a hallway with a lot of rooms and bedrooms. Those are the things I remember. Two things, that's it.
And then she told me that he had given her a drink. And she told him, she has told you that she doesn't drink. That's when I blew up. Because there is no legitimate person in this business that is going to entice someone to act under the influence. It's the opposite of that.
And she also told you about him stroking her hair.
Exactly. Now, some things happened to me as a child, and I had very bad stomach aches from that. There was molestation issues. When she told me and him stroking her hair and sitting between his legs and so forth, that hit me like this in my stomach. Because it was absolutely no reason for it.
I didn't know what had happened after the stroking of the hair. The stroking of the hair was odd. It was uncomfortable. It was weird. But I didn't feel violated until Janice Dickinson came out and said what he had done to her, and that she remembered what actually happened after the stroking of the hair, per se. Okay? So for me, I just found out a month ago what he did to me. So how can I report it 23, 25 years ago if I just found out a month ago? I can tell you that my body language said stay away from him, but my mind didn't know. So this is all brand new for me. I don't know why my mom didn't report it, but my mom grew up in a world where who the hell cares what a woman has to say against a man who has that much power? Who the hell's going to listen to her? And now she's going to have it happen again, and they're going to violate me when they turn around and treat me like after he's done what he needs to do? Who's going to protect us against Bill Cosby?
All right, there are women who say they do remember the details as the list of accusers continues to grow. We're going to talk to 3 more women who claim they were drugged and or raped by comedian Bill Cosby. We'll be right back.
Bill asked me if I wanted a drink. I took 2 sips, and that's the last thing I remember. And I woke up, I was naked, I was battered and bruised and swollen.
And later...
And I would just like to say, Bill and Camille Cosby, shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Tell me about the time you met Bill Cosby.
I was having a very bad day. I was very despondent over my son's death, and I was grieving heavily that day. So he put a pill down and said, here, take this. This will make you feel better. I was really stoned. You know, I mean, I was feeling out of it. And then finally he got up and came over and sat on the love seat and unzipped his fly and pulled my head down. And then after that, he raped me.
Lisa, Victoria, PJ, and Christina all claim they were drugged and rendered nearly unconscious after accepting a drink or a pill from Bill Cosby. But Christina claims she got away before he could assault her.
Christina Rulli is also coming forward to claim that Cosby tried to sexually assault her in 1965. She says he gave her a Mickey and she passed out.
The first thing that hit me was that I was on a bed, he was naked, but more than that, I was sick, and I bolted for the bathroom.
When she came out of the bathroom, she says Cosby was nowhere to be seen, so she got in her car and left.
I also realized, wow, you really dodged some sort of bullet. What happened?
Christina, you say that you actually got away before this happened. Tell me about that. Tell me how that went.
I had arrived at his home. He made us drinks, both of us. I had 2 drinks and then blackout. I cannot remember anything. I have a memory of someone walking beside me and taking me into another room, and then I must have passed out again, because the next thing I know, I awoke and Mr. Cosby was naked and I was dressed. He took my head and tried to push it towards his genitals. You know, I still can see that picture in my head, but I escaped. I had not been physically attacked. He had just attempted.
PJ, I have to say, these are allegations because there have been no findings. But I do want to know what those allegations are, what you say took place.
Well, I met Bill Cosby in 1972 at the Playboy Great Gorge Resort when I was a bunny. I had known him for 5 years. He called the private restricted number, which I have no idea how he got. And he asked if I wanted to have dinner with him that night. I thought nothing of it because I've known him for 5 years. I went to the hotel, met him there. Bill asked me if I wanted a drink, and I really wasn't a drinker. I took 2 sips, and that's the last thing I remember until about 4 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up very hungover, very groggy, and I was in bed. I was naked. I was battered and bruised and swollen. And he was next to me, and I slivered out of that bed, and I got my clothes on. I went downstairs, got in a cab, went to my apartment. Groggy, took a shower, and I had to go to work. I had to get my bunnies on the floor. I told my supervisor, and my supervisor said to me, do you realize that Bill Cosby is Hugh Hefner's best friend? I said, yes, I do know that. She said, nobody's going to believe you. I suggest you shut your mouth. At no time ever did I ever believe Mr. Hefner ever knew anything about drugging and raping anybody at any time. He would never put up with that, never.
And Victoria, you say he offered you 2 red pills.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And what were the pills supposed to be? What did he tell you they were?
Well, he didn't tell me what they were. He just said, this will make you feel better. I was having a very bad day. I had just lost my 6-year-old biracial child to a drowning accident. He put a pill down next to the wine glass. He said, here, this will make you feel better. I took it. I didn't really care at that point. I just wanted to feel better, you know. I was really at that place. And he put another one in my mouth. And then all of a sudden, it was like face and plate syndrome. You know, I started slurring my words, and I just said I wanted to go home. And he said, I'll drive you girls home. Pretty soon, instead of going to my grandmother's house, we're winding up all of these hills, right? He parks, and opens the door, and it's like a little apartment building, and took us upstairs, and he pulled his zipper down, and he pushed my head down, and then he flipped me over, raped me, and then he got up and he started to walk out the door. And I'm going, well, how are we going to get home? And he turned around. He didn't even look directly at me. He turned around and he said, call a cab.
Well, allegations continue to mount against Bill Cosby. We're going to talk to a woman who claims Bill Cosby drugged and raped her after she ended their alleged affair. And attorney Gloria Allred has a proposal for the sitcom star that she says will determine if he is a saint or a sexual predator. We'll be right back.
Why are you speaking out right now?
It's not to gain notoriety, because this is not the kind of notoriety I want.
Why was Bill Cosby never stopped?
He's too powerful. How could you stop him? I'm just a little person. What am I going to say? He raped me. Who's going to believe that? Nobody.
And I wasn't raped.
Well, allegations that continue to damage Bill Cosby's public image as America's father continue to surface. Beth and Shaylon were both aspiring models when they claimed they went to Bill Cosby for career guidance and were allegedly drugged and sexually assaulted. And Helen claims the comedian groped her while she was at a restaurant with her friends. They're joined by their attorney, Gloria Allred. Shaylon, let me start with you. You met Bill Cosby when you were 17. Did he offer you alcohol in a private meeting?
Yes, we were in the Elvis Presley suite. He was supposed to introduce me to someone from the Ford agency.
What?
And someone came in and took a couple of pictures, but he had me go in the bathroom, wet my hair. I had long hair back then. And he gave me a blue pill with like this much amaretto. And I drank it, and I had a cold. And he said that it was an antihistamine. That's what he told me. And I took it with a drink, not thinking. Then he gave me a second shot, escorted me down the hallway. I remember lying down, and he lied next to me. And he was pinching on my left breast, like repetitiously, really fastly. And he was grunting. And I felt something warm on my leg. After that, I passed out. And it was, I woke up to him saying, Daddy says, wake up. Daddy says, wake up. And it was like $1,500 on the table. And I feel like he's manipulated everybody's society, and he's manipulating his wife this very day. You're doing to her for the 50 whatever years you've been married that you have done to all these women that are victims today that now are taking a stand. And it's time to stop. You need to stop. You know, he took away my innocence, and it changed my whole life. He's wicked. He's wicked with power. He's wicked with lust. He's wicked with manipulation. Sorry.
Beth, you allege your experience was not unlike that. You drink cappuccino, and then you wake up in the back of the car hours later.
All alone.
Clothes undone.
Clothes undone. All alone, back in my BMW, have no idea what has happened to me. I was not drinking any alcohol. There was no alcohol involved. It was a cappuccino. He said, I've made your favorite drink, Beth. Just like Beverly Johnson.
Gloria, you have a challenge for him. What is it?
I do, Dr. Phil. Mr. Cosby, invite all of these alleged victims to sue you in a court of law and say, I will not assert the statute of limitations defense, and he can decide he won't, and then they will be able to sue him. A judge and jury can decide. They can present their evidence, he can present his defenses, and that will be a decision by a court of law, and they can have their day in court, which is so important to him, and I think it's important to them. The second alternative is agree to a confidential arbitration in the offices of retired judges. Then the retired judges can decide who should be believed. If they believe the alleged victims, then damages can be awarded to them. And damages are important because they could use the money to pay for their therapy, for their medical care, for their pain and suffering. And if he's vindicated, he is vindicated. Now, has he accepted my challenge? Either one of my challenge. Right now, there's complete silence. He has not. Instead, he's talking about, well, people should find the facts. Well, let's let judges, let's let a jury find the facts. They are neutral, and we want justice for these alleged victims.
All right, we have to take a break. Next, a former Playboy bunny who used to hang out with Bill Cosby says she has a very different story to tell.
He never laid a hand on me. We went out socially. This guy, in my mind, is the salt of the earth.
Kathleen says she was a young, attractive, outgoing Playboy bunny when she met Bill Cosby 46 years ago. She says her experience with the comedian was very different.
I was a Playboy bunny in 1968. Hef was having a party one evening, and Bill Cosby happened to be there. We went out socially. I was nothing but arm candy, and that was fine. But it was a wonderful experience. This guy, in my mind, is the salt of the earth. He never laid a hand on me. He never acted inappropriately. He was a wonderful friend to me. And when I see him and what he's accomplished over his lifetime, he's helped race relations. He's provided tons of money to educational funds. And yet, these women, whatever their story is, it seems to me that the media is latching on to this information and trying to pull him down.
Well, Kathleen, you say there's so much more to him than these allegations. How do you feel after hearing from these women today? Does that change your thoughts at all?
I'm not going to say that their allegations are correct or not. I simply know my own personal experience, and that's all I can speak to.
PJ, you say there are a lot more bunnies that you know about through a site that y'all have established that you know about that have not come forward yet.
We have a private Facebook page just for former Playboy bunnies. And when I came out, I started getting private messages. He did me too. PJ, he got me too. He got me too. I have 12 additional names.
We actually have a statement that has come out from Evan Cosby, and this is the daughter. And it says, quote, "Rape is a serious allegation, and it is supposed to be taken very seriously, but so is falsely accusing someone. When someone rapes a person, they go to prison. That should also happen to the person that has wrongfully accused an innocent victim. Drugged, you can remember the whole damn day, but you were drugged? Just saying."
No one remembers after they were drugged.
Yes.
Little bits and pieces of what had happened when they were drugged. They remember everything up until they were drugged, but they don't remember after. So where's that time? All of us just blacked out miraculously because we were around Bill Cosby from the shock of him being a star? I mean, honestly.
The body knows when it's raped.
Why did...
You're not only raped physically, but you are raped emotionally, and something in your spirit is gone forever. And
Yes.
he is a serial rapist. We all have that same thing in common. We all feel that.
I think that the more I personally talk about this, hopefully it'll dissipate, and I don't have to carry the shame anymore. And I would just like to say, Bill and Camille Cosby. Shame on you. Shame on you. Shame on you.
Well, I want to speak for a minute to my good friend, defense attorney Darren Kavinoky. I want to say Darren is not representing Bill Cosby, but I've asked him to stand in those shoes, and if you were advocating for this, if you were having to take the position, what would be the challenges of prosecution, and what would the defense trade on in trying to get this person out of these allegations?
In the justice system, cases have to be brought within a certain period of time. That's the statute of limitations. And once that expires, it's expired. Even if you can get past the statute, though, there are other notions of fundamental fairness. That is, if a case is late in being reported or it's being delayed in its prosecution and the defense is denied the opportunity to independently test evidence, because of the delay, the defendant is placed in a position where their rights have been trampled upon. That's another reason why a case can be dismissed.
You know, Darren, you talked about fairness to the defendant. What about fairness to the alleged victims?
I get it.
And that is why I suggest that Bill Cosby has it within his power to say, okay, they
I'll put aside
can
the
have
statute.
their day in court in a civil case. Each and every one of my clients is willing to be put on trial. Stand up. Take the oath.
Absolutely.
Tell the truth. And let Bill Cosby do the same thing and have it decided in a court of law.
It's time. It's time.
We have to take a quick break. If the allegations against Bill Cosby are true, what would cause this American icon to do something like this, and why? We're going to talk about that when we come back.
You weren't crying, were you? Oh, you were crying. Well, you eat a lot of salt, don't you? You got good folks here.
No.
Well, that was Bill Cosby 10 years ago right here on this stage. And he wouldn't really sit still. He kept wandering around into the audience, kind of running his own agenda. And I thought it was really strange. Now, my stage is filled with women who are accusing the comedian of drugging and or sexually assaulting them. Could this kind and wise character we know from TV be a predator? Dr. Joseph Ploud, a psychologist, has some opinions on this. One of the questions everybody's had is, who does this? I mean, what kind of individual does this, and what's going on in their mind? How do they square that up? So enlighten us here.
There's no one type of man who commits these heinous types of sexually violent criminal behavior. We're talking about issues of power, control, where a person is in a position of power over others, engages in behavior that is sexually violent behavior, but in cases like the allegations here, it's very different from like pedophilia or other types of sexually based paraphilic disorders in that it's not driven by sexual deviance. There's something else going on where an individual needs to dominate women, and he uses sex in that way. And in a time going back into the 60s when women weren't even believed most of the time. And it only emboldens those types of individuals to continue and to even get riskier in their sexually violent behavior.
We'll be right back. I've put together a list of organizations that have cut ties with Bill Cosby. On 19th, TV Land pulls reruns of The Cosby Show. 21st, venues begin to cancel Cosby's comedy tour. The 27th, University of Massachusetts, Amherst asks Cosby to step down as honorary co-chairman. December 1st, Cosby resigns from Temple University's Board of Trustees. The 4th, U.S. Navy revokes Cosby's title of Honorary Chief Petty Officer. 15th, Spelman College suspends its endowed professorship with Bill Cosby. I mean, things do begin to happen. So you've got to see some, that's got to give you some relief. You know, I think we have not found the bottom of this story as yet. and we are out of time for today. I often thank my guests at the end of the hour. I certainly say it with greatest sincerity today. I can't tell you how much I appreciate y'all's coming forward. I always say people we have up here are teaching tools for all of those at home, and I guarantee you there are so many women that will find courage and strength, so thank you for speaking up. Thank you so much. A special thanks to Attorney Gloria Allred today, and always to Darren Kavanaugh for being here, and especially psychologist Joseph Ploud. Thank you so much. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Darren, thanks so much. Really appreciate it. Guys, thanks for being here. So long. Guys. Thank you guys so much. Bye-bye.